Brian Shaw beats Eddie Hall in incredible pro arm wrestling debut. Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall put on the best match of the night, as per many fans of the sport. The King of the Table 13 took place on December 14 in Atlantic City, gathering dozens of elite arm wrestlers. However, the greatest match of the night was put on by two nobles who were making their debut. The men in question were former World's Strangest Man champions, Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall. Both men gave their all, but Brian Shaw ended up winning the arm wrestling match. Neither Brian Shaw nor Eddie Hall has ever taken part in a professional arm wrestling match beforehand but seemed to be in their natural habitat. The power they displayed and the altercations they had brought excitement to all fans of the sport. Moreover, both men revealed that they enjoyed the experience, meaning that they are both interested in continuing arm wrestling. Brian Shaw vs. Eddie Hall full match analysis. Round 1. Given their lack of experience, both athletes were anxious about how their first round would go. Unfortunately for Brian, he ended up making a few technical mistakes, forcing the judges to give him fouls. Having made 2 fouls, he was disqualified from the round, giving Eddie Hall a lead of 0.1. Round 2. Before the start of the second round, Brian Shaw was getting advice from Devin Larratt. Eddie Hall used this to start playing mind games, shouting insults at both of them. However, the second round went in favor of Shaw, who displayed an impressive top roll technique to pin Hall. This brought the score to a tie of 1-1. Round 3. The tensions were growing higher with each round, and the third was no different. The men were fighting for control in the middle, with their hands starting to slip a bit. Eddie Hall was trying to amend this by climbing Brian Shaw's hand. However, Brian managed to get a slight advantage and ended up progressing towards the pin. Hall was doing his best to get back in the match, but Shaw was simply too powerful. Consequently, the round went to Brian, who took the lead 2-1. Round 4. The fourth round was the most eventful, as Eddie Hall managed to gain an advantage at the start of the pull. In turn, Brian decided to save himself by slipping from the grip and thus forcing the referee to put on a strap, which is made to prevent the slipping but also restart the round. This gave Brian a fresh start but was not well received by Hall, who repeatedly cussed out his opponent. Once the referee initiated a strap grip, everyone believed that Brian Shaw would be the one who benefits from it. However, it seemed that Eddie Hall had a better reaction time, giving himself a significant advantage. This led into a round win, after which he was so enthusiastic that he kept stating F*****KU Brian over and over again. Following the fourth round, the scoreboard stood at 2-2. The fifth round was an exciting one as well, as both men had a good start. Luckily for Brian Shaw, he managed to overload Eddie Hall's wrist, which made the job much easier for him. It did not take long for Shaw to get the pin on Hall, but the real action happened after the round was over. Brian wanted to get revenge on Eddie's bragging from the round before, so he decided to get in a standoff. The referees had to jump in and separate the two behemoths. Most importantly, Shaw regained the lead, now set to 3-2. Round 6. Brian Shaw's endurance proved to be a bit better than Eddie Hall's, as seen in the final round. He easily overpowered Hall, even holding him for a couple of seconds before the pin and shouting, "Fight me." He then put an end to the match, pressing Eddie's hand to the pincushion and taking the win. The final result came out to 4-2. Although Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall got into a few altercations during their arm wrestling match, it was purely fueled by their competitive spirits. Once the adrenaline had settled a bit, both men congratulated each other on the tremendous efforts and hugged it out. Many other professional arm wrestlers have pointed out how impressive both men were, considering that it was their debut. So, there is no doubt that Shaw and Hall have tremendous potential when it comes to arm wrestling.